Being the voice of Formula Drift, I've traveled the world, watching and calling drifting. But the one place I've never been to is the Middle East. So when Formula Drift invited me to come and commentate an event in Qatar, the recently announced country of the 2022 World Cup, I jumped at the chance. What I found when I touched down in Doha was one of the most beautiful and enchanting places I've ever seen. And for the next half hour, we take a look behind the scenes and on-track action at the very first ever Formula Drift Invitational in Qatar.
Obviously, when we first got into this sport, just having it take us around the world was just something that was totally unexpected, but it's been an awesome reward, not only for us, but even to be able to bring the sport to all these new countries and just see the joy and excitement on their face as the cars rip by. And, we're doing it for the fun and love of it and just bringing it to them and they're into it. So, it seems like a win-win for everyone. So we're just going to keep on doing it.
Man, all I've seen of it is on Discovery Channel, and then to actually be here and witness it, like the architecture and just everything is just absolutely mind-blowing. It's just blown out of proportion and, right down to the tracks.
The reception that we got, not only from the people that were working at QRC, but just the fans that came up and wanted to take pictures and wanted to see the cars, and they're very passionate about motorsports. And I think drifting fits with the culture. More so, drag racing of course does too, but I think drifting is even almost a little bit closer to how wild it is and how wild they are out here when they're driving. So, there's a lot of similarities.
Well, to come here with all the other drivers is, it's kind of like a side of competition. We're friends, so it's kind of like a school trip kind of thing. So, I've been having a really good time. Doing some sightseeing. It's different from the usual competition in the U.S.
So it's really awesome that we get to travel and do events like this with Formula Drift, going to places where we would probably never go to otherwise, experience different cultures, bring professional drifting to people that have never seen it live before.
Being here, driving with them, just gaining new experiences, watching new driving styles, different driving styles. It's just an experience for me. So, as I mentioned, I'm out here just to have fun and do the best I can.
I love it, man. First of all, I would like to thank the Sheikh, the gentleman who invited us here, and all the Qatar racing people, team around us, all the Formula D people. Only thing I have to say is thumbs up for them, man.
You take a group of guys, you send them off to Qatar, give them a little spending money and say we're just going to have some fun. All of a sudden you remember how much fun it is just to have somebody close a track down for you to go drift on.
This feels unreal. This is so far away from what I'm used to with Formula Drift, but the hospitality here and the car interest and everything surrounding us here at the track is just, incredible.
We went to sightseeing in downtown yesterday, and it was a really good experience. There's a lot of cool buildings and, different cultures.
You come into a place like this and it's instant tourist. Walking around with my camera and, buying spices and hookahs. So it's like a pretty out of this world experience. It's on the other side of the globe and just thousands of miles of desert in every direction. It's a crazy part of the planet.
A lot of local people over there with their little stores selling all kinds of cool stuff. We've been cruising around, shopping. Everyone's, nice or helpful. And just a lot of little things. You can't really complain. Life's pretty good right now.
The one thing, I used to be an architecture major in college, so I'm kind of like checking out the different buildings and everything, and every single building is different. And it's amazing, just the design and the creativity of everything is beautiful.
The Formula Drift Championship is brought to you by NOS, the official energy drink of Formula Drift, Nitto Tire, and by Need for Speed's new blockbuster, The Run.
Showing up, didn't know what to expect. Obviously, we came here to drift, but then throwing into the sand dunes, getting thrown in the backseat of a Land Cruiser going, I don't know what degree of angle that is, but we did that, and I didn't expect that. And then we go out in the middle of the desert, and there's food and catering, and then ride quads, and just experiencing the dune life, call it what it is. And then the next day, going to the market, and great food, just seeing the local, obviously, everyone traditional garb, and then, oh yeah, by the way, we have to put on a drift event. So it's kind of like almost a vacation, but at the same time, it was just them showing us, hey, look at Qatar, look how rad it is. And that's why we're sitting here with this backdrop, and it's like we're showing the world not only drifting, but also showing the world how awesome Qatar is too.
The track, I think, is great for what we want to do. It's, you know, it's a big open area. It puts the drifting right in front of the grandstand. It keeps the people close to the action.
Big burnout pan, which we've got a pretty high speed entry. I think it's about 160 kilometers an hour, 170 kilometers an hour entry into a big outside clip. So
Trying to find the line, I've been struggling a little bit, watching the other guys, and we've slowly managed to get closer to that ideal line.
It's quite challenging because of you have sand on the track. You cannot guess like where it is. The wind blows so strong.
And the track's really sandy, the wind's really strong, so I'm just trying to keep it just a bit away from the wall because it gets really slippery once you're sucked into the wall.
We had to kind of adjust because there were certain parts that were grippy, but certain parts where the wind could come in and just kind of dust the whole track for sand, so the conditions were changing all the time.
where you can place the car on the track with the outside clips to the inside clipping points. So yeah, we'll really be able to showcase our skills here.
The best part is you can see whole thing from the grandstand. So I'm sure we can make really good show, exciting show today.
The Grade 8 drivers are introduced to the fans, but the no-show on track is Chris the Force Forsberg. Due to mechanical failure, you won't be seeing him in competition. But let's move on. We're making history. Our first battle on deck, Tanner Goldenchild Faust versus the sweet-ass bro, the Kiwi, Mad Mike Wadette.
Absolutely, Jared, and one very important item of note is this track used to be a big, giant skid pad, and in just 1 month, it has turned into one of the fastest drift courses in the world. Check out these speeds right here as Tanner Faust takes lead against Mad Mike Wadette.
Tanner Faust bringing it nice and wide, and mind you, at 102.9 miles an hour as Mad Mike Wadette takes a shallower line.
Shallow is Mad Mike coming off, and you can see Tanner Faust right on that inside clipping point, transitioning back around. Mad Mike a little bit off that second inside clipping point, and again also off the third, and Tanner Faust cruising across the finish line.
Mind you, Tanner Faust, two-time Formula Drift champion. This is essentially his last ever Formula Drift competition, so what a way to go out. Great angle, look at the speed, just lighten up those tires. Unbelievable run by Tanner Faust.
So here we go, Mad Mike Wadette to take the lead against Tanner Faust. And let's see what kind of speed he gets on initiation. Nice early initiation, close to the wall.
Mad Mike Wadette looking nice and solid with the angle, but down in the MPH, 83.8 miles an hour. But look at him, way almost touching the tire wall there. And look at Tanner Faust right on Mad Mike's back bumper.
Using his speed as an advantage, and proximity is the game right here for Tanner Faust as he's right on the rear bumper of Mad Mike Wadette as they come across the finish line. A dominating performance by Tanner Faust.
Mad Mike Wadette, always stylish, always a crowd favorite. Obviously the car, his personality, all things considered. But on track, Tanner Faust is showing him why he's two-time champ and why he's one of the best in the business. Look at that wheel-to-wheel action. And the winner is Tanner Faust. Tanner Faust moves on to the Final Four.
So going against Mad Mike, you know, following him a little bit, I was able to get pretty close. I think I slowed way down for the start because our cars are different speed off the line, but he wasn't able to stick with me. He said he had a problem. He had to change his diff at the last second, which I think messed him up in the first corner. But following him, I was stuck right on him. It was super fun, actually. For such a tight track, that was a blast.
Welcome back to the QRC, Qatar Racing Club. As we move on to our second battle of competition, Slide or Daijiro Yoshihara going against Tony B, Tony Bracco Hiapa.
And fans of Dai might not be used to this car that he's in, a 350Z, his personal car, rather than the S13, usually in the U.S. domestic circuit in Formula Drift. Going up against Tony B, we'll see what Dai can do as he takes the lead right here.
Well, that car predominantly used for time attack, so they've made some modifications to get it to drift and go sideways. Let's see how he throws it in here, initiation point. Nice job throwing it in, but he's actually a bit shallow here as Tony B's right there on his back bumper, 102 miles an hour.
And nice by Tony B right there on the inside, maintaining good proximity to Dai as they transition back around to this second inside clipping point. Nice job by Daijiro Yoshihara. Now Tony B going a little bit offline, Jared.
Tony B swinging way wide, and look at that, actually tapping the tire wall, losing his back bumper as Dai keeps it sideways across the finish. It's going to be a tough run to call. Dai Yoshihara had a shallow initiation right from the start. Tony B was right there on Dai's back bumper throughout the whole course, and then Tony B loses it in the end. Well, it's going to come down to this run as Tony B is going to lead. Dai Yoshihara is going to give chase.
And Tony B nice and close on that initiation, and look at Dai right there, super shallow, stops drifting, Jared, 101.5 miles per hour is Tony B, and Daijiro Yoshihara having a hard time in his 350Z.
As Tony B wraps it around the rest of the course, 101 miles an hour on initiation, and Dai Yoshihara is still struggling, and look at that. Straightens out, just not looking pretty for Dai Yoshihara as Tony B rounds out the course.
Not typical for Daijiro Yoshihara as he comes around, and you can see right here just losing traction and coming straight to a stop. And Tony B taking the win here in the round of 8.
I think I was just a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner, but I don't know because I couldn't see what was going on behind me. So it was exciting. It was good for the fans. Good for the fans.
Straightforward victory for Tony B. Who's going to be joining him in the Final Four? Is it Fredrik Osbo from Norway in his tried and true Toyota Supra? Or from the US of A, Michael Essa in his BMW 350R?
And Fredrik Osbo, probably the most experienced driver here internationally, having qualified second here in Qatar. Nice initiation by Fredrik Osbo at 98.1 miles per hour.
Fredrik Osbo, nice swing here as Michael Essa taking the shallow line. Look at Fredrik Osbo pouring on the smoke, nice and tight on that first front clip.
And Fredrik Osbo transitioning back around, super snappy in that hitting those clipping points. You can see how well he just drives that Toyota Supra, and Michael Essa very shallow and way offline, having a hard time against Fredrik Osbo as he crosses the finish line.
Michael Essa just looking a bit sloppy there. His car from last year in competition debuting a new car this year in domestic championship as Fredrik Osbo puts on a show for the fans, takes out a bit of a clip, but just looking a little tighter than Michael Essa. They're not going to switch it up. Essa's going to lead. Osbo's going to give chase.
Fredrik Osbo, very talented in the chase position right there. You can see already the proximity on Michael Essa. A tiny bit shallow, but 90.4 miles per hour. Michael Essa a lot slower than Fredrik Osbo, and Osbo taking advantage of it on the inside.
Yeah, Osbo diving in right there. He actually had to balk a little bit, brake check, and back off to give himself enough room as they transition around that last clip. Osbo all over Essa, but Essa pouring on here. Too little too late for Essa.
Well, much better for Michael Essa in the lead position, but Fredrik Osbo obviously diving in right there, able to maintain the line and a pretty good proximity and also angle to Michael Essa. But the first run so well for Fredrik Osbo, and it shows right there in the judges' scorecard as Osbo takes the win.
Here we go with our next battle. It's an all Southeast Asia battle. Tengku John Lay coming to us from Malaysia, going against Kiki Saknana from Thailand.
And these are two of the biggest stars in Southeast Asia. Tengku John Lay considered to be one of the best drifters in the world. And look at this right here, showing why everybody wants him to come to the United States. 97.4 miles per hour on entry.
Tengku John Lay, they call him the Prince of Drift. He's putting down a great show as Kiki Saknana, he ain't no slouch either. He's right there in the mix, wrapping around that last clipping point. Kind of no favor to either driver right now as they round out the course.
And the Red Bull car of Kiki Saknana having a little bit of a difficult time maintaining the same line as Tengku John Lay. And you can see right here trying to get up on that proximity, but Tengku John Lay just doing a little bit better on those clipping points and a touch more angle than Kiki Saknana.
Now they're going to switch it up as Kiki's going to lead, and Tengku John's going to give chase. Kiki throwing it in, a little wavering there as Tengku swings it wide up against that tire wall.
And Kiki Saknana having a hard time on initiation, now trying to get outside right there, 90.4 miles per hour. But look at Tengku John Lay right on the back bumper of Kiki Saknana.
Nice job by Tengku John as they wrap it around the last clip. Kiki Saknana swinging it wide, and Tengku's right there, mirroring every move he makes.
And a close call at the end right there with Kiki Saknana and Tengku John Lei. You can see Tengku John nice and wide on the outside wall right there. Kiki Saknana doing everything he can, trying to hold it down. But look at this. Absolutely, Tengku John Lei is moving on into the Final Four.
The Formula Drift Championship is brought to you by NOS, the official energy drink of Formula Drift, Falcon Tire, Hankook Tire, and by Need for Speed's new blockbuster, The Run.
And we're back for the first ever Formula Drift Invitational here in Doha, Qatar, at Qatar Racing Club, and it's Tony B and Tanner Faust going up in the first battle of the Final Four, Jared.
Tanner Faust, you know he wants to end on a good note. This could potentially be. He's saying he's retiring from the sport. What a way to end it. Can he make a podium finish? Goes against Tony B in that Ford Mustang. Tanner's going to lead. Tony B's going to give chase.
And accelerating into fourth gear, coming down the front straight. Nice initiation, starting off a little bit shallow on the outside. Tony B coming in. Whoa, 108 miles per hour, Jared.
Tanner Faust with all the angle in the world. Great job. Tony B is right there sweating, the two-time Formula Drift champion. This is a great battle we have going here. Around that last clip, now there's some separation as they near that finish line.
Wow, the first half of that run, Tony B was right there with Tanner Faust, able to maintain a nice proximity on entry, coming up on the inside, but on the second half of the run, Tanner Faust turns it on, pulls away, and is able to maintain great line and angle. And here we go, Tony B taking lead against Tanner Faust.
Well, let's see how Tanner Faust can chase down this Ford Mustang, 101 miles per hour as Tony B leads. Tanner Faust is right there on that Ford Mustang's back bumper.
Tony B doing a great job in the lead, but Tanner Faust, look at that, cutting in on the inside, perfect on that inside clipping point. Tony B, and spinning out on the last of the inside clipping points is Tony B, giving Tanner Faust what appears to be an easy win.
Tanner Faust was everywhere Tony B went, and Tony B put the nail in the coffin as he wraps it around, and Tanner Faust narrowly escapes getting some body damage. And of course, Tanner Faust gets the win.
Well, look at this, number 2 and number 3 in the qualifying order, Frederick Osbo taking on Tengku John Lei, and I am looking forward to this one, Jared. Two aggressive drivers, both at the top of their game, with Frederick Osbo taking the lead.
Who'd have thunk a Norwegian driver going to a Malaysian driver in Qatar, Formula Drift inaugural event. Here we go, throwing it in. Look at this. Tengku John is right there on the back bumper, 97.1 miles per hour.
An excellent move by Tengku John Lei right out the gate. Frederick Osbo super snappy, and look at this smoke coming back around on this second inside clipping point. Amazing by Frederick Osbo, but Tengku John Lei is right there, Jared.
You can barely see his shadows through that thick smoke coming off the Supra, and he is right there. Phenomenal job by both these guys, putting on one heck of a show for Qatar.
Tengku John Lei taking advantage of the few mistakes that Frederick Osbo made and having a hard time negotiating through that smoke, but able to do it at the end, and now he will take the lead against Frederick Osbo.
Here we go, Tengku John throwing it into the S13. 98.1 miles per hour, actually going faster than their first run. Nice job by Tengku John.
And look at Osbo, he's right there as well. Great angle and right on the line of Tengku John Lei, just on the inside of that clipping point, transitioning back around. Wow, I would not want to be a judge right now, Jared, as they cross this finish line.
Tengku John putting his car in all the right places, kicks that cone just for a little flare there as they shut it down across the finish. Look at Tengku John maneuver his car around every front clipping point, a little bit of separation in the latter part of the track. Like you said, this is a tough call, but we're going to the judges. Tengku John unanimously gets the win.
And in our battle for third place, Frederick Osbo and Tony Bracco Ihapa, both drivers surging through the pack and ending up right here in Qatar. And this is it as Frederick Osbo takes the lead in our third place battle.
Let's see how Osbo throws it in here in that Supra. Nice initiation by Frederick Osbo. Tony B, he knows he's going to need to put down a great run here, 101.5 miles per hour.
And Tony B not fazed by the speed, but look at the snappy cutbacks right there by Frederick Osbo right on that clipping point. And Frederick Osbo shooting towards his outside clipping point, going way wide. Nice job. Tony B shutting it down, Jared.
Tony B shutting it down, narrowly escaping some impact with the Toyota Supra. If you can recall in that last run, Tony B taking himself out and spinning around that last clip as Osbo takes this wide swing. And Tony B actually just has to say, you know what, hold on, I'm going to let you do your thing so we don't get in contact. Now Tony B is going to lead. Frederick Osbo is going to give chase.
And Tony B is probably at a huge disadvantage right here. Frederick Osbo just needs to maintain close proximity. You can see right here he's favoring and just, and Tony B hits the wall, 100 miles per hour. What is going on here, Jared?
Frederick Osbo giving him a bit of room now. This is kind of sloppy. Remember, this is for third place for the final podium spot. I got to say, there is no successor in this battle as Tony B leads, wraps around the last clip. Frederick Osbo needs to suck up to Tony B's back bumper.
So not a very dominating performance by Frederick Osbo, very conservative in the chase position. Tony B obviously out there doing his lead run, hitting all his clipping points, but a huge mistake in the first run, and the judges recognize it, and Osbo gets the win.
So that's our third place podium finisher, Frederick Osbo. Who's going to get first? Tanner Faust or Tengku John? It's the All-American Golden Child going against the Prince of Drift, Tengku John from Malaysia. He's pumped just to be in the finals.
And talk about making a statement here against some of the best drifters in the world. Tengku John Lay taking on Tanner Faust in the final, which might be his last drifting event that we may ever see him in a drift car. And right here, as he takes the lead against Tengku John Lay.
Is this the swan song? Is it the fat lady? Regardless, the Golden Child's going to put on a show, 111.4 miles an hour.
The fastest entry we've seen all day, and pulling away from Tengku John Lay in a cloud of smoke. And Tengku John Lay coming back up right now, charging and going way offline that inside clipping point. Tanner Faust dominating in the lead position.
Tanner Faust putting on a clinic for Tengku John as he tries to chase him down, but that sign just too hot to handle, too cold to hold as he wraps it around this clip watch. He just barely taps it as Tengku John swings wide. An advantage goes to him definitely as they go into this run. As Tengku John's going to lead, Tanner Faust going to give chase.
As we come to the final run here in Qatar, a beautiful event. Tanner Faust maybe his last run, and Tengku John Lay making a statement against these pros here. Nice initiation, quick and snappy at 99.4 miles per hour.
Tengku John nice and wide. Tanner Faust actually diving in shallower than I've seen him do all day. Here we go, wrapping around that clip. Now he's sucking up to Tengku John's S13.
And here we go, the final turn in Qatar as Tanner Faust closes the door on Tengku John Lay. Coming across the finish line. Will we have a winner, or will we go one more time as we close the books here in Qatar?
Tengku John whipping the car around Tanner Faust, door to door, wheel to wheel in Tanner Faust style. Who's going to get the win? Let's go to the judge. And of course, Tanner Faust gets the win. That closes the books here in Formula Drift Qatar, the first ever event. Tanner Faust goes out on top as Tengku John from Malaysia gets second, and Norwegian driver Frederick, the Norwegian Hammer, gets third.